I have been really excited about this unbox because it features some of my favorite King and Country soldiers, the Airborne. In this video, I'm going to show you guys some of the rarest King and Country paratroopers that I have ever seen. Some of these pieces are so rare that I never ever see them come across my screen, and so I'm really excited to finally be able to showcase them. Additionally, I am building a little Normandy diorama, which I think will look great with these guys on it. So let's get right into it. Kicking things off, we have this BAR man in prone position by Thomas Gunn. I think Thomas Gunn makes excellent figures, the closest, I believe, to the King and Country paratroopers. Then we have this guy here with the Browning 30 caliber machine gun, also in prone position. I think this is just an excellent piece for any diorama. Really gives you that feeling of the soldier providing covering fire, and also he's got a cigar, which I thought was really cool. So here we have a second MG guy. Now, this was bought at auction, so a lot of these lots have duplicates. Nothing we can do about it. I really like this guy. He's kind of bent over inspecting his BAR or trying to reload it. He's got the Airborne gloves there. One of the things I don't like is whoever the previous owner was, looks like they tried to paint in some of the uniform, so they added these awkward green streaks all over. Kind of a bummer. Wish they never did that. Moving right along with a mortar team, which is really awesome. I'm usually not a fan of multi-figure bases like this, but I think for mortar teams, this works particularly well. One of the reasons I picked up this lot is because it included so many Thomas Gunn figures. I have to admit that I don't know as much about Thomas Gunn as I do about King and Country, but I'm pleasantly surprised by the variety of Airborne figures that they have in their collection. So that's all we have for Thomas Gunn, and back to King and Country land, we have this awesome machine gunner from the DD-036 set. Again, we have the awkward additional painted streaks here. Really not a fan of that. And almost as if by design, we have the sniper from that same four-man team. Again, this is DD-036, a four-man team. I believe we have 3 out of the 4 in this lot, which is pretty cool. And more of this gross brown stuff, which I really am not a fan of it. I don't know what the thought behind this is. Maybe to make them look more grimy, or maybe the guy's just trying to cover up the unit patches, but I think it's a big miss. So here we have DD-285. It's a paratrooper from the 82nd Airborne. It's a radio operator with an M1 carbine. The antenna is made of copper, so it's really easy to bend it back. However, the M1 carbine, as with all models with an M1, do bend very easily, and they're very prone to breaking. I love the M1 models, but they're very fragile. Here's, in my opinion, one of the rarest paratroopers in the DD lineup. This is a single figure set, DD-212, titled The Scout, depicting a trooper from the 82nd Airborne in the early hours of the invasion. Besides the fact that it's a later set, so much higher detail, it's also a really unique pose. Absolutely fantastic figure. What's the problem here, Captain Sobel? DD-276, depicting the commander of the 506th, Colonel Robert Sink, which contained Company E, or Easy Company as we know it from the HBO miniseries. I think he's supposed to have a mustache. Many don't know this, but Sink actually refused the promotion so he could remain with the 506th, which was later nicknamed the 506. DD-288-1. I finally know what the dashes mean. Many of the paratrooper sets have duplicates that are enumerated in this fashion, meaning there's a version of the set depicting the 82nd Airborne and another depicting the 101st. This one seems to be more rare. After I won this at the auction on eBay, I had offers from other buyers to pick this set up in particular. So it's 2 riflemen advancing, one of them holding a grenade. I really love this set because the poses are very unique and really giving off that ambush vibe. Really, really awesome. Also, when I do stop motion, these guys are pretty much interchangeable, so I can depict pose changes. Let's keep it rolling with DD211, another D-Day paratrooper, showing a kneeling officer reading a map. Must have forgot a smartphone in the barracks, no doubt. This one is also super rare. These never really come across my search on eBay, so this was a real thrifty find. Something I never looked up are these brown sort of shoulder wraps that they put over the unit patch. Does anyone know what that means? Put it in the comments. So this one had me fooled. This is DD251, Kneeling Bazooka Man, which I initially thought was part of the DD034 set. But upon closer inspection, I noticed some differences in the equipment. Like this model doesn't have additional bazooka rockets in the backpack. Anyway, I got two of these bad boys and getting ready to blow up a lot of tanks. So here's the Tommy Gunner from DD034. I lumped these guys together thinking they're part of the same set. Nonetheless, Tommy Gunners are always welcome in this man's army. My man here sporting like, what, 20, 30 magazines? He thinks he can take on the whole empire himself. Another Tommy guide. This one from an earlier set, a DD037, which is part of a four-man team. We do get a couple other guys in this lot, I believe. Used this guy in one of my earlier movies when I started the channel. There really was a huge variety of different paratroopers in this lot. Very happy that I managed to scoop this up. DD081. An airborne trooper standing at attention, sporting this awesome parade dress uniform. This one's actually somewhat rare. I mean, any soldier that is retired is somewhat rare, but I really only see this one pop up from time to time. And this one actually was not part of the lot that I won at the auction. It was just a separate deal that I found. So here we have the entire team unfolding. I got 3 out of the 4 figures from DD037. The team features 2 Tommy Gunners. The one that's missing is the one that's advancing. This trooper here has his Garand with a fixed bayonet moving forward. This is really a very dynamic, action-packed set, and even though this is from an earlier lineup, the detail on the models are fairly decent. So here's the other rifleman in this set. One of the common problems that I find with this particular model is that Garand tip is super, super fragile. I have this set already, and that tip on his rifle has almost snapped off many times. I don't know, it's just strange. Some of the weapons on these models are very, very rigid, while others seem very soft and malleable. I don't know if it's because they use different metals for different weapons. I'm not sure. And here's the team all together. I wanted to do something a little bit more special for this unbox. There's so many figures in the slot, and they're so dynamic, I think it would be a missed opportunity if I didn't put them in a suitable environment to try to tell a story with them. I'm not an expert diorama maker. I am more of a use what's available kind of guy. I also have limited space, so my terrain pieces are on a quote-unquote as-needed basis. I made a couple of hedgerows here with a bunch of mixed vegetation, which I think came out pretty good. The base for it is that modeling foam stuff. And to sell the Normandy look and feel, I decided to add some dirt, actual dirt, to serve as the road and the areas between the hedgerows. It fits reasonably well based on the images I've seen online. I've decided to add a tank as well, so I'm using one of my Easy 8 models from a previous unboxing. Gives off the feeling of troops moving in and occupying an area with tanks rumbling through. It was easy to fit the figures into the scene. They're so dynamic with a great mix of movement and tactical activity, reading maps, talking on the radio, positioning support weapons for maximum firepower. The scene felt really alive. The King and Country DD 200 plus set range has many models that are very uniquely posed for this kind of diorama. I get that this is not really a diorama, but the scene is still pretty fitting. Then I made a separate scene using more dirt as a sort of farmhouse slash Normandy house. I took inspiration from the farmhouse from the Battle of Bloody Gulch. where the 101st and the 82nd Airborne took a part defending it against the German SS Panzer Division and some Fallschirmjäger regiments. Moving right along with the unbox, we have a couple of guys from DD-046, kneeling Thompson machine gunner, and then we also have a standing rifleman. This is part of a 4-man set. There's also an additional set of the DD-288 82nd Airborne, the rarer of the two. And then this is DD-25, but it looks like this head was transplanted onto this figure. This is not what this figure looks like. I thought that was an interesting choice. I'm not sure which set this head was taken from, but it's not the original. Cool idea, though. Try to add a little bit of uniqueness. So here's what this figure is supposed to look like. On the left is the original figure, on the right is the modified figure. If anybody knows what piece that head is from, please let me know in the comments. Here's another figure from DD-25. This being an earlier set with a lower set number, I would have thought this set would be more rare, but this is one of the most common sets that I find on eBay, which I think is really strange. Hey, if you're still watching, you must really like this video. Do me a favor and hit the like button and subscribe to see more of these awesome unboxings. So here's a double dose of DD-250 Tommy gun. This is pretty rare. I have not seen this one very often, and the fact that there were two in the slot was pretty surprising. I'm very, very glad that I was able to pick these guys up. And keeping on with the super rare paratroopers, this right here is DD-215 Prone Bar Gunner. I have seen this model only once on eBay, and it was on sale for $140. Now, the actual MSRP retail price for this is around $50, I think, $49 maybe. And the fact that it was up for sale at $140 and there was no other competing figures on eBay for a very long time tells me that this is pretty rare. So when I saw this in the lot, it was an automatic trigger for me to pick it up. Along with this one, there's several others that I just never ever see on eBay. So super happy that I picked this up. Right in the neighborhood of DD-215 is this Officer with Carbine, DD-220. There are a number of these carbine guys that you just never ever see for sale. So the best chance to get these is probably pick them up as part of a giant lot, the way that I did. Maybe they are for sale occasionally, but the competition must be really high because they disappear super fast. All right, so this guy is really cool. This is DD-222, the Triple Deuce. It's a radio operator with an M1 carbine. This model really stood out to me. It's very recognizable. And another thing that's very surprising to me is how intact this antenna is. Usually these things are bent and they look like a little mouse tail curled around the figure, but not this one. This one is absolutely pristine. So this is, I think, a really rare find. And speaking of rare, I wasn't even aware that this one existed. It's a rifleman walking forward, preparing to shoot with an M1 Garand 82nd Airborne. It just occurred to me why these 200 series paratroopers are so rare on the market. I think they're just still part of people's collection, just like the older ones are available for sale and available at auction because people, you know, die or somebody inherits the estate that has these soldiers. So people sell them off, but these are somewhat recent, so I think they're still actively in somebody's collection. So we had DD-250, 251, and many of the other ones in that range. This is DD-249, Drinking Bar Gunner. There's a lot of very interesting bar gunners in the slot, and this one is no different. So depicted here, this soldier is drinking from his canteen,
enjoying a nice little respite from battle. Again, this is very rare. I never see this guy, so very fortunate to have picked him up. Plus, he has the 20-degree barrel, which is a rare issue. And in the DD220's neighborhood, this is DD221, walking bar gunner, so another bar gunner. I can't help but feel that this guy looks a little bit like the actor that played Ronald Spears in the Band of Brothers miniseries. So we see him stepping forward here with his BAR, getting ready to take up position somewhere. Just like the last few that I've shown you guys here, this one is also extremely rare. In pretty decent shape, a little bit of a bend in that BAR barrel, but nothing catastrophic. Here's an interesting one. This one is sort of rare adjacent, I would say. It's a part of the DD038 set, which includes a Greyhound armored car and an officer that's pointing with a map in his hand. Now, I have previously unboxed the two figures that are part of this, but I have never seen the Greyhound for sale, the M8 Greyhound that's part of this set. I'm desperately trying to find it on eBay, and it just never seems to be available. That really sucks because I think the Greyhound would really round this team out. So here's a member of DD034 with the 20-degree barrel attachment here. This is a common flaw with these super long rifles, especially when they're so exposed off to the side. But anyway, this is part of a four-man set, and this guy's clearly shouting something, maybe incoming or find some cover or something like that. I bent the rifle back here because it wasn't that severe, but if it was any more bent, I'd probably warm it up before I try that. So originally I thought the bazooka guys are part of this team, but they're not. And a member from the four-man team, DD036. A lot of the sets in this range are usually four-man sets, and they are typically patrolling or combat maneuver type teams with special weapons. This guy here has a rifle grenade, which is basically a lever to bend the rifle barrel. I've never seen this model without a bent barrel. It's really unfortunate. There's not very many good ways to prevent that from happening. So our scenery is really coming together. I've unboxed a lot of the paratroopers now. Let's quickly take a look at some of the super rare paratroopers we just opened up and then put it all together in one final scene. Honestly, even if I wasn't making a video about these paratroopers, I probably would have built this scene myself anyway. Building this was an absolute joy. I have a lot of King Country paratroopers. They are some of my favorite figures that they make. Assembling this scene really felt right to me. It really fits with the paratroopers and the theme that I was going for. You know what they say, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. So here it is, all put together. We have our road scene with a bunch of troops moving through and a tank leading the way. And then we also have our farmhouse with special weapons taking position. I really hope you enjoyed this video. And thank you for your support, and I'll see you on the next one.